the SMPs that I have worked on so far, my main three have been Outsiders SMP, the Rats SMP, and Pirates SMP, under the name POWCreations, which is a mix of both my name and Owen's. We completely turned this moment of like, oh my god, they're about to see each other finally, and they're gonna be friends again, into this like horrifying realization of like, holy shit, like, wait, he's dead. I mean, I've said it multiple times. I kind of want POW to be like the Pixar of the MCYT like SMP space. We're all rats in a house or whatever. I was just completely on board. I was like, hell yeah, that sounds
Why not?
why not? That sounds absurd and dumb, awful, and I love it. Yeah, in the best way possible.
Do you still have nightmares about the final round of BattleBox?
Writing for like an animated series would be cool. I'd like that a
Oh,
lot.
okay. Alright lads, welcome back to InsideMC, the part of the podcast where I sit down with a very special guest every single week. And this week, I'm joined with someone who I think is pretty interesting. They're very talented, they're a very, very good actor, they cook when it comes to making SMPs. I am joined with the one and only Apokuna.
Well, shucks, thank you for boosting my ego a bit. That's lovely. Hi, how you doing, Orbitz?
I'm doing great, thank you. I thought since we're going to be sitting down for hopefully well over an hour, give or take, it'd probably start off on the right foot, right? You know, I imagine I started the podcast with, yeah, they're pretty mid. They're not that good.
Yeah, hype me up a bit, though I give better answers to the questions.
Exactly. It's all a method to my madness. You're exposing it. Can you not, please?
Oh, yeah, my bad.
Yeah, all in all, I'm doing good, thanks. How about yourself?
I'm doing absolutely lovely. I got myself some Aquafina, not sponsored.
What's that?
And I'm ready to answer some questions. Oh, it's American water, which is no different to any other kind of water, but you know, it's water.
Yeah, fair enough. It's just American limited. Would that be
It's
the
limited
word?
edition.
Yeah, there we go.
It's special. You know how Americans like their limited stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
The McRib.
Oh,
we
was that
love our
only
McRib.
American? Oh, is that still? Oh, that's still in America, isn't it? Yeah. I don't know. I mean, to be fair, you say that, but a lot of stuff are coming to England. I heard like a Popeyes came to England, and there's like a Taco Bell in England, you know, all over the place. So, I mean,
okay.
you know, you guys are starting to be a bit more sharing stuff out.
Worldwide.
Yeah, going global. There was a question I was going to ask you. Oh, that's it. Did you finish your croissant?
I did finish
go.
my croissant. Yeah, I did do that. It was really good, very buttery. It was only half of it. I had it with some eggs and some bacon. And
Ooh.
now my stomach is filled.
Nice.
I've met my quota for the day of eating good food.
So you've been ego boosted, you've had a good breakfast. This is going to be an amazing podcast. I can feel it. Well, Apo, and that's why I'm going to call you for the rest of the podcast. Because I feel like I didn't say it right. Apokuna. I feel like I'm saying it wrong.
You have said it so much better than most people do the first time.
Really? Oh.
I've gotten Apokuna, what else? Apokuna, Apokuna. I've gotten a lot of different ones. So you've hit the mark. You've hit the mark.
How many times has someone called you a Pookie?
Oh, you brought up deep trauma. You've brought up. This is so early on in the podcast.
Wait, really? Oh no!
If you know somebody named Michaela Dark Eyebrows,
I know Dark Eyebrows. Of course I do. Yeah.
So all my friends call me Pookie, which it's like a pretty common thing. But they purposefully do it because Michaela, I didn't know what it was, and then she started calling me Pookie, and I do get called a Pookiuna, or you know, the thing that you said. It happens.
Yeah, a Pookie. Yeah, I just said a Pookie.
A Pookie. Yeah, no, that's happened several times.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to. I guess I cancelled out the ego boost already.
Something
Just
I have to go through with my therapist next week, but you know, it's fine. It's fine.
That's going straight in the highlights. Thank you. Well, not the therapist part. That's not really a highlight. I mean, the fact that I brought up trauma. That's a perfect way to start the podcast.
I mean, you know, having a therapist is a highlight and totally not a joke. And you know, I should get a therapist because everybody should have therapy. Everybody should have somebody to talk to.
I mean, even if it's not a therapist, I think it's always nice to just have someone that you can.
Oh, absolutely.
Turn to.
A close,
I have my
reliable
girlfriend.
source.
So.
That's good.
No. And I guess I have like one or two online friends as well that I can turn to.
I have my chat that I trauma dump to.
Oh, nice. I mean, I lurk in your
not
streams
actually.
quite a bit. I haven't really seen the trauma dumping, but you know, I've also only just
yeah.
recently got into your streams.
Okay, good, because it doesn't actually happen.
Oh, okay.
No, nobody should actually trauma dump on their viewers. That's probably not a good idea.
This podcast is all over the place. Oh no.
You gotta save that for the Discord vent channel.
Exactly. You gotta save that for the Discord diary.
The Discord diary. Oh, you're so right. I should start one of those.
You should. I mean, I was going to, but then like my Discords are always just really inactive, so I've never really seen the point. No one's really gonna read it. So you know, I was like, yeah,
For yourself.
I mean, yeah, for myself, I guess.
No, maybe you'll have one of those like comedic movie moments where your dad finds your diary and then reads it in front of some random person and is like, oh my god, I can't believe said all this stuff about me or whatever.
My dad listens to some of the podcasts.
Oh, hello, Orb Father.
So I don't actually know if he's like listened to any of the recent ones, but he like listened to a few. I think he listened to the Noxai one. He listened to like the mental health one as well, but then I don't know if he's listened to any more other than that, in all honesty.
The Noxai one was good. I like that one a lot.
Oh, you listened to it? No way, InsideMC podcast enjoyer here. Holy.
Oh, I've listened to 3.
You know, I'll take it. That's 3 more than 0.
That's 3 more than 0. Hey, I mean, I'm unfortunately busy, so that's like good amount of podcast.
Exactly, and now you're technically doing a full.
Oh my god, I'm gonna have to listen back to this one over. That's gonna be great.
Just play it on stream instead of music. Two
As long as
apples.
I'm allowed. Oh, actually, wait. I've listened to 4. I've listened to Minecraft SMPs, Kyle F, Aaron, and Docksite. Yep.
Wait, you listened to the Minecraft SMPs one?
For a little, yeah.
Oh, I'm guessing the POWCreations part.
A little, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we bigged you up. So.
Thank you.
Anyways, Apo, it's carrying on the podcast about you. This is actually
All right,
we're just having a general conversation.
On topic.
I mean, we are on topic though, because we're just having a conversation. This is what podcasts are about. This is what people. This is what I always try to get into people's heads. Like, as much as I kind of advertise it as an interview, yeah, it's an interview and I'm asking you questions, but it doesn't mean we're not gonna have normal just talks.
This is like one of those like late night content creator Discord calls where you just like ramble about the weirdest crap ever.
Exactly.
Just like out of nowhere.
Except for I edit and people listen to it publicly and people absolutely love and enjoy. I mean, you got a crap ton of like hype from the announcement, which was pretty cool.
Oh yeah, that's fun.
People were very happy to hear you coming on, and then you seemed quite excited. Podcast time, so
I've never been on a podcast. Well, I did one with my friend Owen, but this is more of like an official one. I've never been in this podcast setting before like this, so this is a first.
Man, see, that's why I love InsideMC. I feel like a lot of people say it that like the reason it's doing so well is because it's an original idea, and I've kind of realized it is, and it wasn't really an intended original idea. Like no one's ever really done a podcast where they're just interviewing. So my new motto for the podcast, it's for something that I'm cooking. People hear me say it. You're gonna hear me say it on the podcast now, but people will hear me say it in like the motto sense in a future project, hopefully coming out in January. And it's like InsideMC podcast, giving Minecraft creators a voice since 2022. So.
Ooh, yeah, okay.
I mean, it's true though. Like, you know, it's kind of just how it went. Like, because I don't know. I just always thought it was just a really cool thing to just talk to people and talk to a different person every single week. But it turns out to be something that actually no one else is doing. So
yeah, it's a unique, new, fresh idea, which is always good in this community.
Not like the way most of your SMPs are done, which we'll get into talking about in a minute. So.
Aw, shock. Would love to.
So, Apo, yes. I always like to give the intro, even though we've been recording already for nearly 10 minutes.
Oh Lord, okay.
I always like to give the intro for you to introduce yourself. Who are you? What do you do? You know, we've had a great conversation, so you already know this is going to be a really good podcast. I'm talking about more about the viewers already know this is going to be a really good podcast. But like, who are you? What do you do? Maybe a fun fact you have, or that kind of jazz.
Hi, I'm Apo, and I like pancake. Oh yeah, and also you know the whole. I
like pancakes.
Sorry, this is like one of those like school icebreakers. I can't really like talk about myself, or else it just feels like too. I don't know.
I mean, I can do it for you if you want. I've never done it for someone before, but I can.
So I'm a content creator.
There we go. Okay, what kind of content creator?
A primarily Minecraft content creator. You know, I do some stuff here or there, but like in reality, 90% of my stuff is still Minecraft. So
okay,
Minecraft.
Here we go.
And I play hardcore.
Yo.
Wow, what an original concept. And I make SMPs, and I'm on SMPs, and I do a lot of storytelling. And these SMPs each have a unique story based concept around the SMPs that I have worked on so far. My main 3 have been Outsiders SMP, the Rats SMP, and Pirates SMP, alongside little one-shot projects here and there and stuff. And each one of them kind of a normal SMP usually takes place in a randomly generated Minecraft world. We just take that concept and throw it out the window.
You guys make your own worlds.
Yes, we make our own worlds. It's like making a story and an already like lived in world, and then then just shoving a bunch of content creators into it. We have a pre-built map, we have mod packs, we have custom mods, custom development, a whole dev team behind it. And that's like mainly what I'm known for most, like working on that with my friend Owen.
There we go.
So,
Under the name POWCreations.
Under the name POWCreations, which is a mix of both my name and Owen's, because if you take Apo and Owen, P-O, and then Owen's W, P-O-W, POW. Oh yeah, POWCreations.
Oh wow! Wait, that's actually okay. Well, I mean, I was actually one of my questions were what's the name, but there was a good few questions coming before POWCreations, so we kind of this is going to be one of those podcasts where we're going to constantly go back and forth. But that's fine. That's fine. I don't do the highlights channel anymore, so I don't need to worry about kind of sectioning it, which is great.
Yeah, Becumon came up with that.
What the POW part?
The POW part, yeah. She was like, just do that. Or we're like, oh, okay, yeah, that's good.
That works, and it's stuck. I mean, if I go onto the Twitter now, POWCreations, you guys have 30,000 followers, and the account's been a thing since August 2022.
Actually, pretty okay. Honestly, it's hard to hard to put it into perspective until you actually hear the number. I'm like, oh yeah, that's okay. It's a lot of people. Oh.
It is. I mean, you get a lot of good interactions as well. Like, the people clearly love it. I mean, I'm a big fan of it. I only found out about it because of so I'm fairly new to this community, which is quite shocking based on the amount of people I've been able to talk to and get on the podcast, which is pretty cool, and how quickly I found out a lot about people. So I joined this community in March, so I haven't been around for long, and I only really got into this community maybe in about July or August. So I went to TwitchCon in July and nobody knew who I was. They knew, like, I met Nukri, which was cool. I met Jack Cass, like I saw Wolfie and stuff, but I didn't really talk to these creators. I mean, Jack Cass and Nukri, but I mean the other ones I didn't really talk too much. I'm onto like space. I could keep going on, but basically there was like a Rats SMP panel. I believe you were there as well, right?
Yeah. Owen and I was the Rats panel.
Yeah, so I didn't go to it because I had no clue where it was. All my like online content creator like friends or people I knew were going to it. And I was just like, I don't know what this is. And I found out after it's like an SMP ran by you, and then I kind of looked into it a little bit, and I don't know much about it, and we are going to talk about this in a minute, but I just yeah, that's kind of just my whole story. As I only found out about you from that, and then even then I didn't really get too much into your content. Well, not into your content, like I've seen your content and I thought Rats was really cool. I looked back on it, but I've once Pirates came to be, that's when I started getting heavily into like you. I feel like the SMP kind of scene of things,
yeah,
you know?
Definitely. Actually, I like how you mentioned the panel, because I think that was like the first time anybody has ever announced something like that in the space, as far as I can like recall. Obviously.
What do you mean?
So we did the Rats SMP panel, and at the end, that's when we announced our next project, Pirates SMP.
Yeah.
And we like gave a whole launch trailer and everything. So it's kind of like a Kevin Feige like MCU Comic-Con type moment where like we used our panel as like a stage to prop up our next project, and it was like a really cool thing seeing everybody's reaction like live and stuff. It was such a such a key moment. Awesome.
See, I'm now gutted that I didn't go to it, but like at the time I was kind of in the mentality of I was with like one of my American friends, because I used to be a Bedrock Edition creator, so I was with one of my Bedrock Edition creator friends, and I met up with one of my Twitch mods, old Twitch mod, now VIP, and it's like, you know, we were kind of hanging about, and it's like, I don't really want to go to it, because so with Paris, I left my house at 4 a.m. in the morning, got to Paris at 9 a.m. and then got the train home from Paris at 9 p.m. or 8 p.m. and I got back to my house at 11 p.m.
So you did a day trip?
Yeah, literally to TwitchCon. So I was like, I want to kind of do as much as I can. Oh no, TwitchCon EU next year. I don't know if you're going or not, but I'm hoping. Now that I'm more in this space as well, and now that I'm more like, I guess the names are known by content creators, and I've talked to multiple content creators. Not saying I'm buddy with them just because they've come on the podcast doesn't make us best friends, but like I'm more kind of known in the space of I can kind of go to TwitchCon and actually interact with people, and they'll know who I am in a sense.
Yeah. Plus, like, if you're only going to TwitchCon Paris for a day, I don't blame you not going to any panels. I mean, I only went to one other one. Like, you want to actually experience the Ranbu Gen Lost panel, because that was a very interesting production. So I wanted to see how that. Actually, I was dragged along by a couple friends, Lexi and Shovel, just like out of nowhere. So I wasn't originally planning on going to that panel, but like I got dragged along, and I ended up really enjoying it. So that was fun.
I'm kind of gutted that I missed out on your panel though, because it would have been nice for this podcast in a sense. But if you can kind of sum it up, what exactly happened in the panel? So I know you said you talked about Rats, but how long? The panel was like an hour and a half, right? If I'm correct.
It's hour long. It was basically like a reunion for the Rats cast members, as many that we could have on the panel. Obviously, the rest were like in the crowd.
But what did you do? What did you talk about for an hour? Because you know, like with the podcast, it's different. I can kind kind of ramble on about a
Yeah.
crap ton of different aspects of your life. But what did you answer fan questions? Did you just talk about the whole process of things? What was it?
I mean, we went about a bunch of different things. We reminisced on some of the builds. We did like a little montage of some of the best and funniest moments to kind of like look back on that.
Okay.
We asked a lot of the panel people, a lot of our friends, like, oh well, what was your favorite moment, or like what was special about your character, and like this and that. So we had like a bunch of like, because like Owen and I were the organizers. We asked the panelists like questions and stuff, and we had like little different segments, like again like the build one, the clip thing, and a bunch of other things like, oh, what did you not get to do during the SMP, whatever. And then after about like 40 minutes of that or something, then we went into like a Q&A section where people were able to ask questions. And then the last 5 minutes or so, we revealed the future of POW, which was Pirates of we had like a lot of different moving parts.
Yeah, which is really sick, just the way you, and like you said, you kind of did that as like a whole. Because it's with like, so I'm a big fan of The Walking Dead. Can't watch like any of the mini series in England because they just don't offer them to Europe, which is silly. But like how they used to kind of do the Walking Dead things, and they'd announce like the new spin-off series on like the Walking Dead panels. You kind of did that and everything. How did you even go about getting a Twitch panel, if you're able to share that? Because I can imagine it's quite hard, you know. Who knows, maybe one day there'll be an InsideMC podcast panel. I mean, I don't think there will be because I don't do any of the podcasts on Twitch. But like how did you go about doing that?
Well, I mean, Owen originally reached out, but panel applications were open for Twitch, and it just so happened that we ended up getting one.
Oh, so they don't even. Oh, I thought they reached out to you.
No, we reached out to them.
So did you start cooking the Pirates SMP like announcement before you were given the panel, or as soon as you got given the panel?
I mean, well, we were working on Pirates, I think since December 2022 or January 23-ish. So we were in the process of knowing that we wanted Pirates to release anywhere between like June to August-ish.
Okay.
So the panel was just like a cherry on top kind of thing. Like, oh, well, we can literally have like a panel and announce it at the convention and everything.
Yeah. So you were working on Pirates while Rats was still a thing, or like as you was wrapping up Rats.
Concepting.
Yeah, that's what
we actually started work after Rats ended.
That's what I meant. Sorry, the idea of it is you started working on is what I meant, not like you were straight on working on a new SMP. Sorry, should have been more clear with that.
I mean, I've wanted to like do a pirate SMP since I think like 21 or something, but like it didn't really happen until 2023.
Okay. I guess tracking back a little bit here then, because this podcast is just all over. We're going to be jumping back and forth constantly, but that's fine. It makes for a great conversation. We kind of mentioned your name earlier, how like there's multiple different ways of saying it, one of them being Apuki.
Oh, Lord.
What's the deal with the name Apokuna? Why is that the name? Any inspiration behind it? Was it you just thought of a random word once and was like, yeah, that slaps?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I used to play a game mode called Minecraft Factions.
Okay.
It was very much like a PvP tryhard based game mode. So I think 14-year-old me was really obsessed with the idea of like I should have a tryhard name. So my tryhard name ended up being Apolistic, but nobody's gonna just say Apolistic every single time. So most people just called me Apo.
Which they do now, anyways. Yeah.
Yeah, and then the Kuna part of it. There was two things. Because like I'm a story writer, I write stuff. There was a character that I wrote a while ago that had a similar name, so that was like kind of like an homage to that because I liked that character a lot. But also the person that got me to streaming was named Kona, so it was kind of like a little homage to that as well.
Okay.
To kind of like have come from the person that like kind of inspired.
That's cool.
Yeah.
And it's stuck, and now how long have you had the name for then?
3 years.
Oh, so not long at all, since 2020.
Yeah, since end of 2020. It's my 3-year anniversary. It was my 3-year anniversary, probably like a week ago.
Oh, so during COVID is when you came up with the name?
I was a COVID streamer, yep.
It's crazy just to think how COVID kind of, it caused so many new content creators, and some of them stuck around, some of them didn't.
Oh yeah, especially Talking Everything. There is like a whole like title for those people, like the TikTok streamer now. Like there was such a big deal with like the whole like comfort streamer thing and like the TikTok parkour craze or whatever.
Oh yeah,
all of that. I mean, like it's still around, but it's definitely not as prevalent. Probably has dried out a lot 2021, but still.
Well, everything was popular because everyone was online to see it.
Yeah, everyone was online to see it.
Now people are slowly going back. Like even like offices and stuff, I know that, like, people are slowly not work. Like as the years go on, they're slowly going from like 2 days at the office, 3 days, 4 days, and soon enough it'll be back to 5 days a week in the office. I mean, people have gotten so used to it though. Like with content creation, I started it before COVID, but during COVID I was like averaging maybe 50-60 viewers on Twitch, and I was loving it on Bedrock Edition.
Yep.
But yeah, Bedrock Edition days are over. We're on Java, and honestly I kind of wish I was a Java content creator back then, but you know, everything happens for a reason. So
Bedrock is so interesting because like it has the bigger player fan base, but it doesn't have the creator base at all.
that's because just Java's more optimized for content creation in a sense.
Oh yeah, I mean definitely. I think it also, that's where everybody's like roots came from, you know? That's where the original tubers and stuff came from. So like that's where the rest of them are going to usually be coming from. But I think Bedrock does have a lot of potential. It just is wonky. Like,
I mean, imagine trying to make an SMP on Bedrock Edition. That's never gonna you'll never be able to do what you did on Java on Bedrock Edition.
I think we'd be able to do more just because of how Bedrock development goes. Bedrock development, you can get a lot more with your money with Bedrock compared to Java, just because of the developmental tools and stuff that Bedrock provides.
Okay.
And like the more advanced technology and stuff. Like, do you see all those like Bedrock like maps and stuff and all
Yeah,
that?
the marketplace. I've played a good few not free
You've
ones.
probably seen like on Twitter like all those cool like mob model stuff with like
yeah,
all the cool
I mean, yeah, I
animations and
was a Bedrock content creator for about 3-4 years. I've seen
Yeah.
everything. I mean, I still kind of follow it because I got a good few friends that are in the space. So
all that stuff is so much harder to do on Java. Like, it's possible, obviously it is, but like Bedrock, it's there. It's already there. The system is there. It's set in place. Like, you can easily have like a mob boss on Bedrock compared to Java, which I think is very interesting. So like, I don't know if like we created an SMP on there ever, I think we could get a lot more out of our money. It's more so just like, how are we going to be able to one, get a bunch of creators to agree to play Java, to want to switch our whole developer to something. I mean, I want to get a bunch of creators to play Bedrock, sorry.
Yeah.
And to get like our whole development moved over to Bedrock as well, which is, I just don't think it'll happen. but
yeah.
Bedrock, at least for an SMP, like
No,
I think
that's completely wrong. My bad.
for a normal SMP, there's no point. But for like an enhanced SMP, I think Bedrock could be a very interesting.
I guess this also comes down to the PvP aspect of things as well. Like it's a bit of like I've always kind of seen it as just a bit of a weirder version of 1.8. Like there's like a tournament on Bedrock Edition that's really cool. It's called MCBC, and it's like I used to play in it. I don't anymore. But just the PvP on it was just like it was certainly interesting, you know.
Annoying.
Yeah. So, but you know, who knows? Bedrock is still pretty good. It just it seems like back in 2021, I remember like making a tweet like, "Oh, Bedrock is the future." Like, you know, it's gonna blah blah blah, and it just seems like creators are just comfortable on Java Edition. I mean, even I switched. There's just I don't know, or like what's it called? Java Edition just has that aura about it.
Definitely.
I don't have to explain it. Yeah, exactly.
The Bedrock vibes are off. I mean, like, I don't know. I definitely don't see Bedrock ever becoming the main thing for creators, but I can see certain creators really take advantage of aspects of Bedrock.
Yeah, it really just depends though, because like Hive Bedrock Edition, a server, there's a lot of big creators from that, and there still kind of is, but I don't know. Everyone kind of just seems to fade away from it constantly. They'll do a bunch of videos on it and they'll fade off. Can't really explain why it happens. It just does.
I guess we'll see what happens in the future. It's going to be very interesting.
Exactly. Speaking of future then, Apo, let's jump back into your past. Oh, what a great transition. I'm cooking.
Oh my lord. Popped off.
So, how I see it, and this doesn't mean it's 100% the case, because it probably isn't, but one of the big things of where it started, I'd like to assume, is Outsiders SMP. That's where things started getting kind of like, crap, content creation is looking cool right now.
It's getting a little juicy.
It's getting a little bit juicy. So, what I tend to do is, I do a little bit of research myself, but I also have somebody do the research for me. Mainly on the aspect is, because when I come into podcasts, I like knowing the basics, but I don't like knowing everything, because it just makes it sick hearing it for myself, because then, you know, I can enjoy it more and ask questions more if I don't know the answers already. So normally it's Roman Rodri doing the research for me. However, this week we've had Tortil, and this is Tortil's first ever time, so if there's a few facts that are wrong, bear with me here. Okay, however, so what I've got here is for Outsiders SMP, you met Orange Juice in July 2021, and then you became co-writers, and then became co-owners after the two previous owners of Outsiders stepped down.
Correct. So I was originally brought on as a writer for the Outsiders system in July 2021. And August, I think later in August, I asked Owen to come alongside me and work as a writer as well for the Outsiders system, while two creators, Moe and Oweka, were owners and stuff. And eventually Moe and Oweka got busy with school because they were a little younger and stuff, and you know, they had to step away from the internet, so Owen and I ended up taking their place as the active owners of the SMP.
Okay, I remember talking to Kyle about, I believe it was him and Akko who did like a duo application, get into Outsiders. How did you get into Outsiders SMP?
I was invited originally, so I was on a SMP called One Try SMP, and that's where I met a bunch of the Outsiders SMP creators. They were planning on making the Outsiders SMP and heard from the grapevines that I apparently liked writing, so they invited me as a cast member and also as a writer, and I accepted, and then I got on it. So I was part of the original cast. I did cook, I'll be honest, I cooked.
What was Outsiders about? Because I know it was really, really popular. I see people still referencing it to this day in regards to pirates, but what was it about? What was kind of like, what was your biggest impact on Outsiders? There we go. Because I know you were the writer, but was there anything to like, you know, that was your best piece in a sense?
Yep. I mean, I can tell you what Outsiders was about real quick. So Outsiders SMP was originally an SMP based on the Maze Runner, but because we didn't want to just, you know, just completely copy the source material and stuff, took the base concept of a maze, people trapped without any of their memories, and there's a monster there, there's like a clearing, and we took that concept and we just completely like went crazy. So my friend and I originally wrote the whole entire like world building and like the story and like the mystery behind it a little before Outsiders started. And then when Outsiders started, that's what we executed on. So the story is actually about a game show. It's a game show where a bunch of prisoners are sent into different game projects to basically hash it out for their crimes. So Outsiders was a season of that. And none of the characters knew until the very last minute or two of the whole entire SMP.
So the characters are like, did the creators not know either?
The creators knew. The
creators knew, the characters didn't.
We told the creators, yeah. Okay. I mean, in the future SMPs, we decided to hide some of the story elements more just to play around with how that worked. But for this scenario, we told the creators what the ending was. So it was this SMP basically about a bunch of criminals slowly rediscovering their memories and why they're horrible people and stuff. Can they change? Can they not change? It's a story about like, is the environment that you grew up in like conducive to like what kind of person you are, and like can you fix the type of person you are, or like were you always a bad person and stuff? And there's like different species like angels, demons, humans and stuff. There was like wars between them like on the outside and everything. And my character is specifically known for dooming a bunch of people by pulling a lever, getting outcasted into the maze, living in the maze, and then eventually dying at the hands of his best friend.
Oh, wait, your character lived in the maze, or you?
Yes.
Oh, I thought you said you were the one who pulled the lever to put people in the maze.
No. So in this story, there was like two levers. There was a little story arc where there was two levers. One would doom everybody. One would like help everybody, mercy or death or whatever.
Okay.
My character pulled a death lever and ended up dooming a lot of people in the maze and stuff. For his horrible action, he ended up getting put in a prison cell. Eventually they escaped, went into the maze, lived time out in the maze, eventually met his best friend, and his best friend ended up killing him in a giant plot twist. So that's what my character is known for. At least that's like the concept of the SMP overall. We tried to take what was given to us. Moe and Oeko were basically like, we're gonna make a Maze Runner SMP, and we just tried to completely expand on that and try to make it our own as best as possible. And we ended up doing that. We made like a Netflix type series out of Minecraft basically.
So here's what I mean. Even just hearing you talk about it, just like I haven't watched Outsiders because I didn't, maybe I was on that good at finding the VODs and stuff like that, but like even just hearing you explain it just makes me so interested in it. So like the fact that you wrote this whole arc and did this all yourself is just I'd say it's impressive. I mean, it's common for you, but it is really impressive. Like it's just cool. It's really cool, you know.
This is alongside managing like 20 other people's character arcs and stuff.
That's what I mean, yeah.
So it's like a whole production basically, and it's all in Minecraft, which is really cool because Minecraft is this giant sandbox game where you really can do whatever. And if you want to tell a story about a bunch of little dudes trying to live in a maze, you can do that.
You can, as long as the creators cooperate and work with you, which they did, you know, you can cook.
Yeah, hey, I mean, hey, they did for long enough to get the SMP over with.
Exactly. What's your best piece of writing, would you say? What's like the best moment that happened in Outsiders where you're just like, damn, I cooked. You know, you can say the entire thing, but that would be boring. So what's one thing, what's like a memory, I guess, that stands out to you whenever I mention Outsiders, something that flashes in your mind?
So So the part where his best friend ended up betraying him. I'll try to summarize it very quickly because like a lot of information and stuff, very in depth and complicated. But the reason why his best friend betrayed him was because all of their memories were wiped, right? And before they were prisons and like bad people and stuff. His friend was a war criminal. On the human side that really hated demons, and my character was a demon. So the second they met up after a long time, his character's memories ended up coming back at that moment. And instead of being able to reconcile with himself and move past his war criminal past about killing demons in this war, he ended up going right back to his roots and ended up killing his best friend in this big dramatic like animation that we had done and everything. So after like 6 months of build up, like after the characters not seeing each other for like 4 months, after like this whole friendship arc and stuff, we completely turned this moment of like, oh my god, they're about to see each other finally and they're gonna be friends again, into this like horrifying realization of like, holy shit, like wait, he's dead, like his best friend just like killed him, kind of like after all this time, after like they're about to get the reconciliation, like because the memories started like flowing back, like he's gone now. And that was really cool. That ended up like being like all over Twitter, like the whole community was freaking out. It's still like a moment that like people come into my chat nowadays and talk about like, did you know Owen killed you or whatever? And I was like, and I'm just like, yeah,
Owen was the best friend. No shot.
Owen was the best friend, yeah.
No way.
Or like, did you know that this is how you died or whatever? I'm just like, yeah, no, I wrote that. So,
I was literally there when it happened. I was there when it was written.
Yeah, I was there when it was written. We got like an shout out Tiv, the artist, Hiviv. They did a very good job on the animation. So we got a whole like animated part done for when the character was murdered. So that was cool.
That's so cool though. Like the twist.
That was probably my favorite moment in Outsiders, alongside probably the end reveal of it all just being a game show and all of this like death and murder and destruction. It was all just for the audience's entertainment, which is wild because it is like a streamed event basically, where the Twitch viewers are kind of enjoying all this like pain and suffering in a way. So in a way, it kind of like mirrors what we're streaming. So it was a fun reveal and everybody's like, what? Yeah, but that was my favorite like writing moment. Outsiders, probably those two.
That's so cool though, because I remember like seeing this article once, there's a news article of like a girl who lost her memory and then she fell in love with her boyfriend, if that makes sense. Like they were boyfriend and girlfriend and she lost her memory and then she fell in love with the same person. I'm pretty sure this happened after Outsiders SMP. However, like it's just crazy that you kind of did the same concept of like they became best friends, but then when he got his memory back, he, instead of remembering that they were best friends and like thinking more of that, he was like, no, I'm gonna do what, and I guess that it threw me off, you know, when you explained it threw me off, and I already knew what was gonna happen because you told me. It's like, it's just pretty, I prefer, I see when people, like, I guess TV shows is the best thing I can compare this to right now, because it is like when TV shows do stuff like that, where they like do this big twist of, yeah, you think this is gonna be, I think it happened in The Walking Dead, where like there was this big twist of like people were finally getting good and then all of a sudden they just die, and it's just like stuff like that is so cool to me. I enjoy stuff like that, and it's good talking, you know. And it's like with this, you want it to be entertaining, you want it to be good, but then you also want it to get people talking as well, and that's exactly what it did. It got people talking.
It still has people talking to this day. It's weird because like Outsiders ended or whatever, but I think it has even more of an impact now than like even before. For some reason, the community's just grown ever since then. I guess that's because it was an interesting, special story to so many people, and I'm glad it was.
Maybe more people finding out about it. I mean, I only recently found out about it as well with the podcast, exactly. For example, which is still fairly new. So I mean, it's also cool as well how like with the whole spin of it's just a game show. It's like you the viewer are literally the reason this is the game show. It's not just a concept of, oh, we have viewers watching us. You are literally the viewers watching us. You know, like we are the game show. You are the people enjoying it.
I mean, probably like not exactly in canon, but like the way it like imitates that or whatever. That's basically how it ends up feeling at the end. Like, oh, I'm the viewer watching this kind of thing. I think that's pretty cool. We did something similar in Pirates actually, where we ended up having 2 ending paths, and we got the viewers to vote for what path should be taken, basically.
Oh,
So
we'll
we
get
like
into that
doing a lot of
anyways.
live
Oh.
interaction. Yeah.
That's cool. It's very sick. And then after this, so when did Outsiders end? When did Outsiders come to an end?
Outsiders ended in July 2022.
Okay. Well, just before that, on June 8th, 2022, POWCreations was founded.
June 8th?
Hey, that's what I have here. It could be wrong.
It is!
It is June 8th.
Oh, it's wrong!
I was wrong. Oh no, what is it?
Actually, 2 months off. August. I don't remember the exact, but
Oh, come on, Tortil. You gotta be better.
the official POWCreations account was made in August 2022.
Oh, okay. I mean, yeah, I said that when it was made. I thought it was founded before then. Okay.
Oh, was it founded before then?
I don't know. It just says it was founded on June 8th, 2022. I know the
don't
Twitter
recall.
account was made August 2022.
I don't recall the exact foundation.
Okay, we'll just go with
But-
August. It's fine. It works.
Yeah,
Anyways,
August.
So you mentioned how the name comes from like a mix of yourself and Owen. What was the inspiration? Because I know you'd worked together. Obviously, you were co-writers then co-owners. But what was the inspiration instead of just making a new SMP? Why did you make this whole kind of like brand, this whole kind of label? I guess you can say.
Personally, I don't like having to deal with other people owning stuff because I've been a part of projects where it's just a complete shit show and I have no control over. So if it's going to be a shit show, at least I'm going to have control over the shit show and it's my fault. You know, I don't want a project to fail because of not, I want to make sure I have the opportunity to make it as successful as I can. And we worked well enough together. We worked pretty well together in Outsiders, Owen and I. So we thought, why not just continue onwards and have it like a little more official as like this company thing? Nox Crew has something.
Company
with,
is the word I'm looking for.
their
Yeah.
Bedrock maps and everything. So like, well, why not make it like a little more official if we're going to be making?
I guess even
SMP
inside
as
MC, you could say like I could just upload this on my YouTube, my old like YouTube
Yeah,
account.
exactly.
I don't know. I
Kind
made
of
it into its
having
own
that,
kind of
like,
thing. Yeah.
the brand of it.
Yeah.
So instead of it just being like, oh well, Owen and Apo made all this, why not like POW? It's kind of like that.
Iris
feeling of,
SMP
like,
by POW, Rats SMP by POW, POWCreations panel, Rats SMP panel. Like
yeah, exactly. I mean, I've said it multiple times. I kind of want POW to be like the Pixar of the MCYT like SMP space. where
Okay.
It's just like creating like the most unique creative ideas possible and just like executing on it. So instead of just like going the route of like making another SMP and like making a whole nother Twitter account for it and everything and this and that and this and that, like just have it all centralized makes it as easy as possible. And especially when it comes to something like funding, for example, right now we have like a Patreon where people can help like fund our projects and they can get behind the scenes stuff and all that. It just makes it easier to like produce stuff that way, I think.
easier to manage as well, I assume.
Easier to manage, yeah.
Because like you said, you don't have a bunch of dead Twitter accounts. And with the podcast, for example, yeah, I'm pretty sure I retweet every single one on my main, but it's still all the podcasts are in one place. If you want to go find it, you just search up InsideMC. If you want to look for anything to do with rats or pirates, you just search up POWCreations. You don't have to look at individual Twitter accounts.
Yep, it just makes everything so much easier,
Yeah.
And I think it also, I mean, like it obviously gives Owen and I more of like a reputation or whatever, because it is like this, like it feels like a little more professional, but it also, I don't know, it gives a sense of like trust for the audience member that like how is behind it,
Yeah, because I get what you mean. It's more kind of like with I mean, I know I keep saying the names, but it's just such good references like Rats and Pirates. You now have both those SMPs behind you. So if you hear, oh, this SMP's been made by POWCreations. Oh, like what POWCreations? Oh, they're the ones who made Pirates. Oh, okay, yeah, like they like, yeah, no, that's good. It's like I guess same with like Zack Snyder, for example. First name that came to head, I don't know why. Like when you think of like a movie based on him, you'd be like, oh, he's the one who made that movie. Oh, he's the one who made that movie. Do you know what I mean? Like the two different ways of. Yeah, so there we go. Yeah, so it's just easier to kind of label it rather than, oh, it was made by both Apo and Owen. It was made by this like company that you've built and is going to continue to build, essentially.
It also builds kind of like a fan base, for like each of our projects, instead of it just being under us or whatever. Like, yeah, our communities will go to those projects, but now we have a whole community in itself that are waiting for the next POWCreations thing.
Yeah,
even if they aren't fans of like Owen or I, maybe they're a fan of like Scott's been in one, or Scar, or my friend Will, or Crow, or Akko, or whoever was in a project. Now they have like a place of like, oh well, maybe this is like the next SMP or the next project is something I'll enjoy. They don't even necessarily have to be fans of Owen and I to enjoy an SMP, and having like an overall brand like that helps. helps.
They don't have to follow you. They, a lot of people who follow a podcast account don't follow InsideOrbitzz, but they follow the podcast account. I've got like a few. I have like this one person who listens to every single podcast. They'll be listening to this one now, and they'll know who I'm talking about them. And they don't watch any of my streams. They don't watch any of my old main channel videos, but they listen to every single podcast just because they like the podcast. I guess I do this thing where my best way of comparing to people is through the podcast. It's the only thing I really have. So I try my best to compare, and I feel like in this situation I can really well. So
that's also like a huge thing of like, hey, some people might not watch me, but they're down to watch like a POWCreations project. And that's sick, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
So that's definitely an advantage.
Overall, just better for branding, really. I'm better for connections or connecting, right? Not like with creators, I just mean in general, like the viewers and stuff.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean for everything overall, better.
Yeah. So with that, you went from, obviously becoming owners of Outsiders to then creating your own SMP. The first one you made was Rat. So this isn't even in the research. This is just from what I gathered. As far as I'm aware, this was just an SMP where it started 16th of October 2022. Right, this is part of the research. This could be wrong. And then it ended on January 8th, 2023. It was 12 weeks and had 16 members. Correct. So back to what my knowledge is, the 16 members were all rats in a house with like humans and stuff. And there's also like there'd sometimes be like collab features, or not collabs, special guests who would come in. I remember like
cameos.
Cameos, that's the word. Like somebody was once like a bird or something, and I don't know, and the rats chased them out or something. I think Kyle was like a cameo. I can't remember what he said he was, but
yeah, Kyle was a termite.
That's the one, termite. So like what was the inspiration behind this? Why this of all things?
Rats?
Yeah, but like what? The concept behind it. Why did you go with that concept?
I think my friend, if I'm not mistaken, my friend Owen was an SMP with like a little like rat origin where he was small. I think he had so much fun with that he expanded on it and everything. And when Outsiders was wrapping up and stuff, he pitched it to me like, we're all rats in a house or whatever. I was just completely on board. I was like, hell yeah, that sounds
why not?
Why not? That sounds absurd and dumb, awful, and I love it. Yeah, in the best way possible.
So with Rats, did you write everyone's storylines, or did some people write their own?
Well, for any of our projects, we want to have the creators have complete creative freedom to do whatever, as long as it's like in the world, bound. We make little documents or whatever where people can find like the world boundaries stuff and all that. But as long as it doesn't mess with like the overarching story, like you just can't like kill everybody and like become the conqueror of the world or whatever. Like you can really do whatever you want.
You can't be everyone's main character.
Yeah, you can't be everyone's main character. You can basically do whatever. We have little one-on-one channels where people can like pitch ID and stuff. 99.9% of the time, we give the thumbs up to like whatever, like just go wild, go ham. Like, sometimes there's like one or two little things that might need tweaking, but overall, just the creator should be able to do whatever they want, improv and create whatever kind of story they want.
But that's because you're inviting people who know how to do this. I mean, like, I parent to Echo here. They're one person I watched like their Pirates SMP. Spoiler alert, just in case anybody hasn't caught up with the logs. I guess it's still fairly recent, even from when this podcast is coming out.
Yeah, I started 8 days ago.
Yeah, exactly. So just in case this is a spoiler, like with like Echo's death, for example, it's just like he wrote that himself, and like I remember doing like a stream of him going through, and it's just you're invited. That's why I respect so much as well. Is like you give people a chance who aren't too familiar with like role playing and stuff like that, but you're inviting people who know how to cook themselves. You're giving this creative freedom to those you trust, so you don't have to of course you're going to tweak stuff, and you have to tweak stuff sometimes to match with what like. So, for instance, like the end goal of Rats, if somebody has a really, really good idea, but it affects the end goal, then you have to kind of tweak it, But, you're kind
of have to be like an English teacher where it's like, I like where you're going with this, but it's not exactly what we're looking for here.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you can do that, but do it like this.
Yeah, exactly.
So, you guys are good at picking who kind of comes. I guess that's another question in itself. How do you pick who joins the SMPs? Is there any method behind that? Like, because, I know it's for a good amount of friends, but is there any if you're fine with sharing that, of course.
I mean, anybody can join one as long as they've like shown interest. I know we very much like it when creators reach out to us because it shows that they have a level of like respect for themselves and respect for everybody to just be like, hey, I'm interested in this, I want to do this, like if you can consider me, that's cool. So we really like that, and we choose based off of like vibes, basically. I think that's what every good project is based off of. You shouldn't be just inviting random people. You should have like a base of like people that you trust in friendship and stuff, which is why we have people like Akko and Crow or Beck, Bell, or whoever.
You also don't want to invite people who just haven't interacted with anyone in the SMP.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like we've invited people like like Scar and Cleo, for example, were in Pirates, and we've never really. I mean, I've personally never really interacted with them beforehand. Owen might have interacted with Scar once beforehand. Cleo never really, but because like they've known people beforehand, like Scott, for example, or whatever. Like we tried like reaching out to them and stuff, and they've been down to participate in projects and everything. Through little connections and friendships that we've made along the way, we've been able to invite other people that eventually, become our friends and stuff. And yeah, that's usually how we invite people. We also want to give like a variety of creators a chance. And it's not that we like specifically look at like, oh, you're under 5K followers or something, so we're going to invite you an SMP. Because I think if you look at somebody's numbers and then invite somebody purely based off a statistic to meet a quota, I don't think that's going to work out ever. I think that's just like a weird way of doing it. And I know there's people in the community that are very much like, you should invite a small streamer because they need representation, and that's true, but you should be doing it because they're a creative individual and they're talented enough. So whenever we do invite like a smaller creator that we might not know too much of, we want to make sure that these creators are cool, amazing, talented, creative individuals, and we've been able to do that.
That's the thing I said with MCC Rising, which we'll talk about later on in the podcast more in depth. I'm just using it as a reference here. It's like one of the things that I was on, and what really got on my nerves, and I kind of just keep myself to myself on Twitter because I just prefer not to kind of indulge in that, but I'm happy to say on the podcast, and I said it on like stream as well. It's like, what really annoyed me is the fact that people are like, oh, like it's called MCC Rising, meaning that like, for instance, like when Coreyways team played, it's like, oh, they shouldn't get accepted because they're larger, and it's just like, just because it's called MCC Rising, that's just a name. Like, just because they're a larger creator, or just because you're a smaller creator, doesn't mean you should be in. Because a lot of people are like, oh, like I'm actually Rising, but you don't fit. Like, no offense, and this isn't aimed at anyone here at all, it's just an example. It's like, you might be making good content, but you don't fit what they were looking for in their application video. And it's like with the larger creators, it's like,
at the end of the day, content is about being entertaining. If you're not entertaining, then you won't be invited to something. And I know something with like MCC, for example, right? Like they probably looked for the most entertaining group of 10 teams possible, and that's what they did.
And no matter what teams who got in.
Hey, luckily, woo, that's MCC Rising too. Thank you. I know like there was a joke of like my team being like the Nepo baby team or whatever because we have like friendships. But even then, like Scott wasn't really even able to like pick us or whatever. Like it was some completely other different people.
Yeah.
So like we were completely picked off of like our application and how entertaining it was to the entire review team. With something like MCC Rising, for example, like you said, like there people are going to be invited for their talent and stuff.
It just bugs me because I was just seeing people like, oh, they have over 100,000 subscribers, they're not Rising. But like how I saw is that with MCC Rising, it's the name, but it's more a tournament for those who aren't going to be invited, or who don't have a chance, but have less of a chance to join the main event. Have less of a chance to join the main event, but are still like, but so like with the larger creators, for example, it's like, how I saw is they're big enough to join the main event, I guess, in quotation marks, even though they've kind of proven they don't really look at numbers too much, but like they're not in the main event, if that makes sense. And I guess that's what just got my nerves, is when people kind of like, oh, they're larger creators, like, but why should they? It's not their fault that they make good content. It's not their fault that they grew before MCC Rising 2 was a thing.
Yeah, I think people are always going to find something to complain about. And the larger you are, the more of a target you're going to have on your back, especially something like MCC, for example, and the whole Rising process. I know both times people just complain like, this creator isn't small enough, or this or that, or this or that, and there will always be somebody complaining about that, and it is just very annoying because at the end of the day, like, they are just going to pick the most talented, creative individuals possible. And there were some really good applications that got accepted.
And there's some really good applications that didn't get accepted.
Yeah, exactly, because there was just so many like good applications.
I mean, Purple PowerPoints was personally the best, but didn't get in, sadly. So
I see.
Looking back on it now, that was just a crap idea. In my head at the time, I was like, oh, it's a really original, cool idea. And then looking back, it's just like, yeah, never mind. You know, maybe a podcast idea could cook. Who knows? I don't know. If there'll probably be an MCC Rising 3. You never know.
I mean, if there is an MCC Rising 3 from a past Rising candidate, individual, competitor, or whatever it is, my main advice is literally like pick your friends. Just pick people that you vibe with. Chemistry is everything. That's what me and my application mates wanted to really like push. Was just we're all just friends having fun and we're gonna have a good time. You know, that's what our application was all about, because that's what they're looking for. They're not looking for 4 individuals who don't know each other, because that, like, what kind of content is that going to produce? You know, like, is that going to be fun to watch? Just 4 people who don't know each other? No, people want to watch friendships and these arcs build over the course of this event. So if there's an MCC Rising 3, yeah, exactly. Same with SMP stuff, right? Like, we're not just going to invite like some random dude off of TikTok or whatever that we've never seen or we've never vouched for. We don't even know who they are in terms of like their reputation or whatever. Just out of nowhere, you know. So that might change eventually if we want to like approach our invitation process differently or whatever. But I'd like to think we have a pretty solid grasp on who is rising in the community, and who would be like a good fit for one of our projects and stuff. So yeah,
I do kind of want to say this, and I'm not speaking on your behalf, but you might agree with me here. I'm gonna say it on your behalf, if that makes sense, but I'm not speaking for you. I don't know, you can just agree or disagree with this.
Yeah,
it's what I say with the podcast is, just because I haven't invited you yet doesn't mean I don't want you on. Okay, I was saying to like Apo before the podcast here, I have guests like scheduled until the start of February, and then a guest planned until the end of March. And it's just like, just because I haven't got around to invite you, there's so much interest in the podcast. There's so much interest in POWCreations. Just because you're a creator who hasn't been invited or hasn't gone to POWCreations yet doesn't mean you're not going to get in a few months or a year down the line. You know, again, you can tell me if I'm wrong here, but
no, you're right. I mean, like Rats, for example, was like around 16 people. Pirates was a larger cast, around 30.
It was bang on 30. Yeah.
Our next one would probably be a bit lower, but like if you really take into account, like, let's say we have a project with around 20 people. Half those people are recurring people, are friends, because every good foundation is made up of just friends having to know for content. Then there's only going to be like 10 new people there, and out of the 100 people, 200 people that I'd eventually want in a project, you know, being able to only invite 10 people and then that project lasting anywhere from like 2 to 6 months or whatever, like, it takes a while to get to people. And there's no offense to any creator that doesn't get invited to something. It's just, we're going to try to invite the creators that best fit the project, like vibes and aesthetic or whatever it is, you know, just like invite the best person for the project.
And, you know, kind of linking to everything happens for a reason. Your time will eventually come, and if it doesn't come, there's probably a reason for that, maybe. And it's not from like POWCreations, it's just from the universe. I mean, I've said it before, like, SMPs are cool, and I've watched Pirates, and I've watched, you know, and I've watched a bit of Rats, like, I looked back on it, and I think it'd be so cool to be in it, but I can't commit myself to it. I mean, with like managing everything with the podcast, with working in quotation marks, a real job, I'd love to be in an SMP. So this isn't me hinting, because I actually said, like, I'm saying right now that I don't want to join based on the fact that I'd love it. I can't commit myself to it, so I wouldn't want to waste your time, essentially.
Yeah.
So, but, you know, I mean, it's kind of like with the speedrunning. I bring on so many speedrunners on the podcast. I'm planning to bring on more SMP and role players on the podcast. It's like, that's my way of being involved in the community, is by talking to the creators who are actively doing it. So, you know, I guess that's my way of doing things.
Yeah. I do want to say, because I think this is like a problem in the community just in general, is people waiting for them to get invited to something and like waiting for them to like be part of the next big thing or whatever. I remember like back in 2021, everybody wanted to like be invited to the next big SMP or whatever, and that's so rare. It's so rare for you to just like, 1, be invited to something, and then 2, be invited to something that has even like moderate success or whatever. So really, yeah, all these SMPs and projects are going to happen, but like, you as a creator, to anybody out there, should honestly just be doing their best job possible to create something cool for yourself. Like, I would never wait for this opportunity to happen. Like, you should make the next cool big thing. I don't think anybody should ever wait to be part of the next big thing. They should just do it themselves. It's always best to do it yourself, so you'll always have that perfect creative vision for yourself.
I mean, see, the thing is, you got to work for it as well. I mean,
you have to work. It's a lot of work. work. So much work.
I know when like, yeah, I mean, you like, sorry, I know I'm referring to other people here, but once again, it's kind of my way of podcast. It's like when Noxeye got announced, or even when you got announced, people were like, oh my God, I can't believe like you're getting all these, and then like they said big creators on the podcast. I'm like, yeah, but it hasn't been handed to me. I have been uploading weekly podcasts for over like nearly 40 weeks now. I have been uploading 2 podcasts a week for about 16 or 17 weeks. You know, I am working my ass off. This hasn't just been handed to me in a sense of, oh yeah, I just contacted you, said yes. That was the exact case, but had that have been a few months back, maybe wouldn't have been the case. You know, like I've shown and I've worked hard for it. And yeah, I mean, you know, I reached out to you. No, you didn't reach out to me to come on the podcast, but there's like a few creators who have reached out to me, and a few of them I've said like, yeah, your time is coming. I don't know when it will be, but you are going to come on the podcast. So it's once again my way of linking to things of I didn't just expect you to reach out to me. I reached out to you. I shot my shot with you. I shot my shot with everyone. Like the majority of the people who've come on the podcast, I have asked. I think only maybe in the last like 30, I think I maybe 2 or 3 have asked me to come on the podcast. As I said, like it kind of works both ways. Of I'm not like, if you want to come on the podcast, you ask me. If you want to join an SMP, show you can do it, and then ask. You know, don't expect POWCreations to reach out to you and go, oh yeah, do you want to join our SMP? Or don't expect like me to reach out to you and go, oh, do you want to join a podcast? You have to kind of show why you should be on the podcast or why you should be in the SMP kind of thing. You got to work for it. Nothing's just handed to you.
All these things take so much time and effort.
Exactly.
I know, like, for example, like Outsiders, there was multiple points where Owen and I just wanted to quit because there was just so much work and stuff. And we ended up pushing each other to keep on going stuff. And I know, like, the one thing that made us want to keep going the day was like creating the best content possible for the viewers and stuff. Because like it does take a lot of effort and stuff. But like if you think about like who you're creating for at the end of the day, like you want to create a complete finished story, a finished project for the audience. You know, it's all for the audience, a lot of it.
And it's not just that as well. It's also like this week I'm struggling. These last 2 weeks I've really struggled with podcasts. I mean, I was talking to you about it before the podcast began. I was just like, I feel like a partial burnout, but this is just getting good. You know, I have to kind of fight it. I have to keep going for myself, but also for the people who are enjoying the podcast. And it's a sense of, you know, even when you're at your lowest points, and I know it's hard to do. I mean, with my main channel, I essentially gave up on it because I couldn't do it. But if you're truly passionate about something, you'll be able to like kind of get the willing to fight it. And, you know, you mentioned that with Outsiders, and now look at where you are. Imagine you'd given up. Imagine you quit when you were going
that's
to.
What happened. I mean, finishing Outsiders gave us like a huge reputation boost, and like being able to, it's like at that time there wasn't really like every single SMP you join die after like a few weeks or like a month or 2, right?
I mean, it still happens now.
It still happens. We wanted to be the creators that didn't just like join an SMP and let it die off after, which was going to happen. We wanted to make sure that this project that we were doing, like, it was going to finish, and that there would be a complete story for people to follow for whoever wanted to go back to go to episode 1 and then go to episode 40 or whatever, and then it's done. Like, there's a full complete thing that people could appreciate stuff, and that's really special. The legacy.
I was gonna say, I do want to announce, so I have Apo, the owner of an SMP or multiple SMPs, on the podcast. My InsideMC SMP podcast was a joke tweet. It was an interaction based tweet, and it worked. It got a crap ton of interactions. I did it in the past as well. I think like I made like a tweet like maybe a few months back, like gonna start an SMP called Lockdown SMP, where we all play it for a week and then get bored and delete it. Like, so many people were interested in it. I was like, I'm not actually doing this. I'm not doing an SMP where everybody role plays as a podcast host. No offense, don't think that'll be too interesting. If someone wants to take the idea and do it, go ahead. But the InsideMC SMP is sadly not happening. That tweet was meant to go out a week or 2 ago, but I guess it was perfect timing coming out a day before I recorded with you, Apo. So I want to announce, for anyone listening, that tweet gained me like a good amount of followers and a good amount of like comments and stuff. It was a joke. That is not, InsideMC SMP is not happening, and is not going to be owned by me if it does happen. So who knows, maybe POWCreations will do it, and the next SMP plan is all podcast hosts.
No, but who knows? Actually, well, now that I'm thinking about it, we could probably work that in somehow. No.
Honestly, you could make it work. Yeah,
we could make it.
You guys can make anything work.
I do find it interesting though that, like, especially like on Twitter, because Twitter is like the creator community square kind of thing, where like everybody comes together and you can do whatever, right? A lot of people like tweeting about like SMPs and stuff, but like it is really the place where a lot of these projects die. Like, people constantly talk about like, I want to make this, I want to make that, and then 90% of the time it doesn't happen, and then when it does, it dies, which is unfortunate.
That's not even just for SMPs. That's for so many things. People always like, oh yeah, I'm going to like this next big thing, and then like, I mean, once again referring to the podcast here, I'm sorry to cut you off, it's just really quickly. It's like I saw a few people talking about how they were going to start a podcast, or like not even starting a podcast.
Never happens.
A lot of people are talking about the idea of it, and this isn't like referring to anyone who has. I mean, like KOF announced their podcast, and I know they're probably cooking a really good idea, but a lot of other people were like, not even on Twitter, just talking to me like, oh yeah, I'm gonna start my own podcast and stuff, and it's like they haven't, and it's been 2 months now, and it's like I get the idea, and I think I know I get it's a really cool idea, but it's so hard. That's what people don't realize. And with the SMP, I can imagine it's so hard to manage one. You make it look so easy. I make it look so easy. It's not so easy, you know.
If something looks easy, then 99% of the time, people behind it are doing a good job to make it look easy, which is the best way to do it, you know?
Exactly.
Like, I know, like, here, sorry, quick plug. Not actually a plug.
Go ahead. It's your podcast. Patreon. Do what you want. Yeah. Go ahead.
We have a Patreon for POW, right? And while like stuff might look very easy for the viewers of the SMP and stuff, behind the scenes, we have like 9 months worth of content like racked up, like a year's worth of content racked up for the Patreon just because of this SMP project made. Because there's just that much behind the scenes. Like there's scripting, there's developing, there's concept art, there's like early development videos, like stages of the early map. Like there's so many like different like little like parts of like making a project like this, especially like something like a POWCreations SMP, where it isn't just like stick you in a random world and here's like a random concept. It's like creating a whole universe behind it and everything. Like, there's so many like little intricate details and like making sure every creator is happy with like what's going on and like tending to the needs of everybody and
making
all
sure no one
that,
gets burnt out.
You got to make sure there's like a constant like flow of content and everything, while also like managing your own career and stuff. Not just the career of 20 other people while they're like on the project, but also your own career and making sure that you have enough time to do stuff for yourself as well, and also have like a balanced daily life, especially if you're working a job outside of content, which I know Owen was doing at the start of Outsiders, which is probably really hard for him. Also, I was doing for basically the entire duration of Pirates SMP. I was working a full-time job, which was incredibly difficult. Like there is a lot of stuff behind these projects that people just don't see. Like, you know, on the outside it looks easy, behind the scenes it's a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah, but that's because you guys are just doing a really, really good job at making it look easy, and I mean, you guys are cooking right now. I'm very proud, I gotta say.
Hopefully that's the goal.
So moving on, we're kind of just going through the SMPs here. I know we touched on Pirates earlier, but I do want to touch on it a little bit more again. And you said that like since 2021 you've always wanted to do the idea of a Pirates SMP. Is there any reason for that? Did you just think it was a cool concept, or was there something that you saw or something that happened and you thought, oh crap, that would make a really good Minecraft series, essentially?
I wanted to do an SMP for everything. Okay. So me saying the idea of like I wanted to do a Pirates SMP in 2021 is more so just the concept of like, oh yeah, it would have been cool to do a Pirates SMP, but I've also thought about like, oh, it'd be cool to do like a futuristic SMP or like a Wild West SMP or like whatever. Like it's more so just like these are concepts and like storylines that would be cool to execute SMP format eventually, and then
I think you guys
build up till later on. So
I think you guys could cook a zombie apocalypse SMP. That's not really. Like, I mean, I guess it's kind of been done with the whole like the times when it happens where they do them little like survival ones, but it's not really been done where it's like an actual zombie apocalypse in a sense. I don't know. I feel like you guys could kind of cook with that.
There's been a few interesting zombie apocalypse SMPs. I don't think there's been anything long term enough that I've seen from my end. But yeah, there's been a couple interesting zombie apocalypse ones. I wouldn't be opposed to doing like a zombie apocalypse type thing. I just think one of the main costs, for example, because we make huge custom maps and stuff, would be like making a very intricate world full of like cities and buildings and whatever that people can explore through this zombie apocalypse world. Like, one, how much would that cost, and two, how long would that take to develop and stuff? But,
and how interesting could you keep it as well with like actual zombies?
Yeah, I mean, I think something about a zombie apocalypse SMP, for example, is like, you know, the game mechanics. You're going to be avoiding zombies. These zombies are going to be attacking you, and you're going to have to build up a base to defend, right? So like, how do you, for example, if we ever did one, how do you expand on top of that? What kind of like character interactions, like improv interactions can you have between cast members? Like, can you beef for food rations, or can there be like turf wars or some shit inside your little camp? Or like, I don't know, maybe there's like an event where zombies like start spilling in from crack in the wall or something. Like, who knows? Like, there's so many things that like you'd have to like expand on. It's like a normal zombie apocalypse setting.
Yeah, and then like you could do like someone gets bit, and that kind of throws a spanner in the works. But then you got to make it stay. Once again, so like with the SMPs, as much as you can make it a show, it's still hard to make it like a TV show type beat, you know. know.
Keep it juicy.
I'm sure you guys are cooking some amazing ideas. Is there anything you can hint at for the future of POWCreations? Anything that's in the works right now? Or?
We're taking December off for the most part. We'll have some Patreon stuff, of course. But I think like early in the year, we'll probably focus on some like hopefully some like at least I'd like to maybe like some events, some one-shot stuff. Nothing too big. Nothing like the size of like rats or pirates, because that just takes a bit to develop. But like we host something called like POW events, for example, where like every month or so, we haven't done one since July because of pirates, but we host like a Void Rising event because Owen develops really cool custom like data packs and stuff. So we have a Void Rising, Lava Rising.
Oh, I remember
like,
seeing
Origins.
that.
Yeah, we got like a infection game mode. We have like a one in the quiver type game mode where you like dodge arrows and stuff, and like whoever like loses all their hearts first like loses.
That's cool.
And all that kind of stuff. So yeah, maybe some more events earlier in the year could be fun. Besides that, maybe some like one-off things. Who knows? We'll have to see.
What is Wild Pogs Chase?
Wild Pogs Chase?
Or Wild Pog Chase? I don't know. I have it.
A wild, like a hog chase? Like a
Oh, was it Wild Hog Chase? Why did I say right Pog? Wild Hog Chase. Is that apparently it was an event that you guys did? It was the second project you guys worked on.
It's a one shot. So we took a D&D style campaign and we put it in Minecraft and kind of expanded on it a little. So we brought 4 creators on. It was me, Owen, Sausage, Kara, and Olive, alongside a couple of cameos. I think we had Red, Jojo, Beck, and Kyle. Martin like narrated something. So we basically had like a little 1 hour stream-ish, 1.5 hour stream. I think it was 1 hour, where we would go through this world on a little quest to defeat an evil scientist.
Okay.
An evil scientist. And along the way, we'd have to choose like little options. Go down this path or go down this path. Fight these mobs or fight these mobs. So and so. And it's basically just like a little improv. Like, have you ever played D&D, or do you know what D&D is?
Dungeons and Dragons?
Yeah.
Never played it, but I know what it is, yeah.
Oh, it's basically like a little D&D session in Minecraft for like an hour, where a bunch of people just improv little characters, little classes as well. Owen develops cool stuff like a barbarian class where you get strength and resistance, or like
That's
a
cool.
cleric class that you can heal with. There's a class where you can levitate everybody, and like there's like an ability class for like a rogue assassin. And yeah, we just play around this. We played around with these little abilities, kind of like did a D&D and Minecraft type thing. Went on a little quest, and fought a giant warden being, and it was cool. It was fun.
Oh shit, fair play.
Enjoyable.
I did have a Twitter question similar to kind of just while we're kind of on the whole SMP talk.
Yeah.
And it was from Prince Pac-Man 47. Why is it that so far both POWCreations SMPs, Rats SMP and Pirates SMP have been so short? And I don't agree too much that they're so short, but they are like, I guess they're not long lasted, which I think I know the reason for, but I didn't want to just ask it anyways.
Yeah, I guess I'd have to disagree with them short. I think, in a way, I think the community in general has a reputation for letting things last too long, drag on through the creator space. I think a lot of people end up dragging on their projects and stuff. That's something that we never want to do. We don't want to just like have a project last like 2 years, 3 years, right? Where like the content's just like really sporadic and everywhere and stuff. We would want it to be very like condensed and packed and like full of action literally every single time you see something on the SMP, rather than spread it out through like years and years and years worth of stuff. You know, all good series must come to an end. And it just so happens that having like a very content packed series, you can't, it's easier to do something like 3 months, 4 months, 5 months versus like a whole year. I think the normal expectation of like an SM that lasts like a year or two, you know, like if it's like a big project kind of thing. But it's just the time frame that we have, I guess.
You just don't want to let it go on too long, which is
don't let it drag.
Because then that's when creators start losing interest, and it's like quit while you're ahead kind of thing. It's going good.
Exactly.
To end it while it's going good.
End it while you're on a high.
There we go. That's
always what we want to do. We never want to end it whenever we are just scraping the bottom of the barrel, trying to like get every little bit of clout possible out of it or whatever. Like, might as well just end it while it's good, instead of being like, this is like the 5th season of this time we're gonna reuse 5 different plot points and we have nothing going on and we're really burnt out. Instead, just have a really cool story to tell and let people be happy with that and reminisce and go back to it if they want to, rewatch if they really think it's that short, you know?
Yeah, exactly. You can go back and enjoy it easier as well if it isn't too long.
And also, people already complain about like Twitch SMPs, for example, like with how much content there is. Like, imagine if we went like for a year or whatever, right? There'd be so much content. So like, hey, if it's a shorter SMP, it's easier to look back on and stuff. So that's good.
What was the kind of inspiration behind the ending of Pirates? Because I rewatched it to kind of refresh my mind. Essentially, like, you know, people escaped. You said that there was a vote. What was the two different choices that you think could have ended, and essentially how did both come, like, the idea come to be? So I guess, like, firstly answer. Yeah. What were the two options that people could choose between?
Well, one option was one that was revealed publicly, and then one was on the Patreon. So I wouldn't be able to reveal one of them, unfortunately.
Oh yeah, okay, that's fine. Yeah.
But we've always wanted to do an SMP where the audience, it was in the audience's hand whether one option would happen or another option would happen. So it was completely like the audience's choice. And the option that did occur was that we ended up helping a person that defeated another person. All of the characters ended up basically living happily ever after to an extent, because a lot of their friends still got turned to stone after a while. But I guess the main idea of having two endings was like having that audience final decision of like, is this going to happen or is this going to happen?
Oh man, see, I always love the endings that people don't want, where like everybody kind of dies or only two people live. I guess that's just more me though, because I just know everyone doesn't want it, so I feel like they make for better endings. But obviously, you know, like that won the vote, and it's still a good ending. Like, I'm not saying this is a bad ending. I just have my preferences, if that makes sense. Again, just I didn't really have too much to build on. I just wanted to hear your thoughts behind it. So, but then again, if you didn't go ahead with it, then sorry, if you were the one who created it, so you must have liked it. You know, it's pretty obvious. So.
I mean, we didn't really have too much inspiration of like where the endings came from in general, because like it just came out of our heads.
Yeah, so that's sometimes the best thing though, right? Like, you know, once again, referring to the podcast here, is like, you know, I only really got into the podcast with two like maybe 3 to 6 questions, and I end up asking about 19 or 20, because like, you know, I kind of I'm like, yeah, I have the bases, and you know, the guest is going to give me better, like, more questions in a sense of based on their answers, you know.
Absolutely.
You know, that's why I enjoy it so much. I guess moving away from SMPs then here, Apo, unless you had anything else to touch on regarding SMPs, or have we pretty much covered everything?
I think we've covered everything basically.
I want to touch on that saxophone edit on stream that you have.
Oh my lord.
It cooks so hard. Like, what? It's so cool, and that's why I wanted you to replay it. He's like, no, I'm not replaying it unless there's a hype train or a raid. So like, now I gotta make sure I raid into you next time I'm live. I'm hopefully tomorrow from when we're recording this. If you're live when I end, I gotta raid into you, because it's so sick. It's so cool. Why is it a thing?
Well, it originally came from ITMG. ITM completely edited that. It's not mine whatsoever.
Oh.
I wanna make sure.
Why don't ITMG is the seal? Yeah.
ITMG is the seal. Yeah. ITMG is awesome. They're amazing. And I was basically just looking for like little like channel things like 2 years ago or whatever, and I stumbled upon the like saxophone seal video, and I thought it was just like such a funny thing. So now just like every single time I chat the hype train, I reward them with the little saxophone video basically. And I asked ITMG if it was like okay to it as this like reward thing for them, and they were fine with it. But it's basically just like the little ITMG celebration that we do every single time we get a hype train. So it's like a fun little saxophone bit. It's the seal playing a saxophone, breaking into a saxophone store, and then getting chased by a cop.
Big up ITMG then.
Big up ITMG, absolutely. ITMG makes amazing content.
Alright, well, moving on from that swiftly then, because yeah, you know, I was gonna answer the whole editing process and stuff on that, but never mind, it cooks. Let's talk about tournaments then. So we've already kind of touched on MCC Rising too. Yeah. I guess we'll touch on it a tiny bit more in a sense of, like, you mentioned how you kind of did it with friends. Was like, how did that whole contact for making that team come to be?
That originally wasn't going to be my team. Originally I think I reached out to my friend Dunes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but because it's like that whole process of like when MCCR like gets announced, basically like everybody like scrambles to get a team or whatever. So Red basically already like had a team for the most part. But Red mentioned like, hey, Akko and Gracie are still looking for people. I'm like, well, damn, you know, I love Akko and Gracie, so I'm gonna go to Akko and Gracie, and Akko and Gracie were like, we're down. And then I quickly was like, hey, Olive Sleepy actually is probably gonna come back to content creation in January, which is cool. But Olive Sleepy could be a cool fourth, and that's just kind of how the team formed. We didn't really like think about balancing or whatever, but you know, balancing is always probably good to think about but friendship matters the most. But our team was already kind of balanced because like Akko's known as like the PvP sweat. I'm known as like an all-rounder. Grace is like the amazing team leader. And then Olive just like is Olive.
Yeah. So do you
Or as
still
Olive
have
says, Olive says it, moral support.
moral support?
Best moral support, actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Do you know I
really
predicted MCC Rising too?
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I was literally, I think I said on like 1 or 2 podcasts it's gonna come back, and it's like on the nuclear one, I was like, yeah, no, it's coming back. And it's like, yeah, I don't think they'll do one this year. I was like, no, there's gonna be one this year. He's like, nah, there won't be. And so bloody be it. MCC Rising 2 was announced.
It was cool.
So.
Sorry, now that I'm thinking about it, it was kind of funny in our application. I think Grace and Olive both said that their role in the team was moral support. So
You had 2 moral supports, you had 2 sweats.
Two moral support sweats, yeah.
You guys cooked, and Gracie was in England because it was just after fresh after TwitchCon as well. So.
Yeah, so we had to be creative with the app, which a lot of people like. There was a couple apps where it was like, oh well, we were still on vacation or whatever, but we really just kind of leaned into it with like the whole Akko and Grace like collaborating in real life and stuff, and like creating a whole bit out of that. That was fun,
and it worked.
Yeah, it was.
Do you still have nightmares about the final round of BattleBox?
No. I'm pretty content with what happened. Even though like I'm above average at video games, I don't necessarily like hold myself to any standard or whatever. I'm kind of just like mostly go with, would it have been cool to go into Dodgeball? Yeah. But at the same time, it was still such a cool finale of like, it all rests on this final game. Like this is make or break kind of thing.
The final BattleBox game was so cool,
Lost it. Yeah. I did end up getting first overall individual, which is really surprising.
You
I really don't, I don't consider myself to be like a sweat or whatever. I guess I'm like good at Minecraft or whatever. I mean, I've been playing this game for like 11, 12 years at this point, but you know, that was fun. So, yeah.
And then that's not the only tournament you've been in. You've played in Block Wars. I believe you've won a Block Wars as well. So
yeah, it was a wild game. I did a substitute for Fire Breath Man, and I played with Purple. Yeah.
Oh yeah, because wait, Fire Breath Man and Purple were meant to be teamed together.
Yeah, Fire Breath Man and Purple were meant together, and then Fire Breath Man dropped out. I got subbed in because Fire Breath Man basically said it would have been too overpowered, which it would have been. But we still ended up winning.
It's still overpowered anyways.
I ended up overperforming that Block Wars. It was me, Purple, Dekumon, King Samalot, and Tubbo, if I'm not mistaken, which is still a pretty solid team overall.
That's a strong team, yeah.
I mean, hey, in Block Wars, it was pretty. It was slightly above average. Block Wars has a lot of good players.
Yeah. With that being said then, Apo, if you don't have anything else today, if there's anything else that I've missed and you want to talk about, but if not, then we should move into the Twitter questions.
Let's go for it. Let's do some Twitter questions.
So the first one comes from Crowfeather. Well, that's their anyways. What advice would you give to someone who wants to start an SMP in terms of getting a high profile or gaining traction, even if minor traction? I feel like I want to kind of reword this question. I mean, you can answer this one if you'd like, but I kind of want to reword it to how do you make a good SMP in a sense? Not even because they just their question seems to be more of how to promote an SMP. I want to kind of know how to make a good SMP. Like,
yeah, I mean, I'll answer both. In terms of how to promote an SMP, I honestly think you should be focusing on yourself as a creator first before even trying to attempt to promote an SMP and make it gain traction. Because like with Outsiders, for example, everybody was like at around 20k followers before the SMP even started, which like for COVID numbers was like pretty okay overall. Like it was pretty solid, above average for sure, but it was still like small creator overall. But like 20k is still like a sizable platform, so we all came in there and collaborated sizable audience base, and you don't need that for an SMP. But like, I think you should focus on establishing yourself as a creator in the space first, while we're worrying about trying to prop up this project, this SMP that you're working stuff. Because you want to have a reputation first of being a solid content creator before, you know, trying to execute on all this stuff. I guess like for promotion, at least, you know, there's always TikTok and Twitter. I think TikTok's the best way to go because I know the community's kind of sick of like people starting 500 SMPs.
Yeah.
And I don't think you should be promoting it by saying like, do you want to join my SMP? I think you should be promoting it by showing off content of the SMP. You should be showing off like what's funny about it, like what are the highlight moments about it. Like I know like I do lore storytelling SMP, so like promoting like the little like storytelling moments of it and everything, telling a story throughout it. Like that's what you should be doing if you really want to promote an SMP. You shouldn't be just saying like, you want to join my SMP, you should be showing off why this like project is unique and stuff.
I think it's more so like I mentioned earlier, convince people to come on the SMP. Don't ask them. Show them why they should be joining your SMP kind of thing.
A lot of people are in the mindset of like people should just join it, everything will be good or whatever. But like no, it takes a lot to get to that. In terms of making a good SMP, like you gotta have a level of professional. You don't need to be like a business worker in a box like Vive type of deal where like you're so like professional with your wording and everything and all that. But like you still have to like, because like if you're working on an SMP, like you're in charge of like providing content and making sure this content is okay for like at least a dozen people usually, you know? So like there is a lot of responsibility on you to not just like fuck off after a month and like leave it there. Like you got to make sure like you are responsible enough to make sure it's organized, make sure the people you're inviting are down to like actually play. Because like, hey, while I have 100 friends, I know some of these friends just are busy, aren't going to be intrigued or interested enough to, you know, actively partake in a project. That's completely fine. But that's not somebody that I would invite to a project because there's just no point, you know? Like,
yeah, they can still be your friend, but they just don't fit.
Yeah, exactly. Like you got to differentiate like friendship, creatorship, and like the in betweens of them, because that's like something really. But yeah, creating a good SMP, like have a level of professionalism to it. Don't be a dick. There's a lot of SMP owners that are kind of like dumb, stupid, and icky. Whatever. Be a good person. Have fun with your friends. At the end of the day, it's a place for you and your friends to mess around and have fun or do whatever you want to do. You know? Be very accommodating to people. I feel like it should be pretty obvious, but I guess it's not. Just generally do good things. Giving you a thumbs up. I can't see it right now.
You know, I can imagine. I can see it. I can see it in my head.
Yeah. Sorry. Does that make sense though? Just like
yeah,
I
no,
feel
100%, 100%. Yeah.
there is like some obviousness to it where it's like, yeah, you learn stuff as you go, but like there's just general like being a decent person that'll help the project 100 times better.
You just gotta be good at what you do. That's what I say. Like this isn't what you're trying to get at, but what I'm trying to get at is like you have to be confident in yourself. You have to know what you're doing. You didn't just wake up one morning like, yeah, I'm gonna make an SMP. I'm gonna release it within a week. You actually put time, you put effort into it. You know, like it's taken me months to grow to where I am now, and I'm still not. I don't think at my full potential, but I'm not just chilling. And I've like constantly. If anyone who has been hard following the podcast, the way it's promoted, the way I talk, the way I joined the voice call with you today. I was like, I think I just said it's time. Like, one time a day, I was really like, I'm not nervous per se, but I joined the voice call like, oh hi, you're right. I mean, I remember like I had a big creator on when the podcast was before I took my break last year. And like I wasn't nervous per se, but the way I've just become a lot more confident with, you know, you have to self-improve. You have to kind of show you know what you're doing, that you're good at what you do, and you just got to be confident in yourself as well. Otherwise, people like if you're not confident in yourself, people are gonna see that, and you know, that's my way of putting it.
Specifically, by the way, like I know some people complain like, oh, why are you guys taking this SMP stuff so seriously? It should just be about friends. And like, yeah, it should be. But I'm talking specifically about like content creators that are like trying to make something cool and like make a genuine project, you know, not just like a vibe session. Anybody like if you're just hanging out with your friends and stuff, you don't need to do all this. Like you can just fuck about.
Just stream a survival world.
Like, exist and do whatever. Like you can do whatever you want. You can hang out with your friends and do whatever. Like it doesn't matter. This is for people specifically who are trying to create projects that want to like leave a mark on people. You know, just do something cool with it. Like you got to put in a little more effort than just like I'm going to create something and then let it die after a week.
Exactly.
Like, look at the QSMP for example, right? Like I know Quackity spent probably months developing this like language translation mod, and then like also like having like a whole staff team organized and like having like all these update accounts and everything. Like these successful projects, they're putting in the work. They're not just like impulse. They're not impulse doing stuff off of a feeling, or like actually doing based off of like their logic and analysis and like feeling what would work and what wouldn't work and everything. Not just like oh well this might work because of so and so or whatever, and I'm gonna just do it and you know have it die in a week. And
don't go above your means. Like I guess based on what you just said there with Quackity is a large content creator, and Quackity has earned a good amount of money from content creation, I'd like to assume. So that means he can put kind of effort into the development. He can do all of this. He can do the update accounts. He has a team behind him to run everything. Like you know your limits. Don't just because one person is doing that, just because that works for them, it doesn't mean that's the only successful way to do it. Because POWCreations does it very differently, and you guys still do really good.
Look at Outsiders, for example, which wasn't POWCreations. That was made on a $0 budget. Besides like the stuff we ended up commissioning afterwards or whatever, that's on each individual creator to spend money on and make animations and whatever they were doing. Outsiders was made on a $0 budget, and the way I see it is it doesn't take any money not to be a dumbass. It doesn't take any money to be professional. That is from character alone.
Exactly. You just gotta do the right thing. It's like, just grow, just figure out what's working, look at other creators, don't go above your means. I cut off highlights because it was just adding too much to my plate, and I just saw it as like the best thing to cut off, and it has been the best thing to cut off because I've been able to start doing midweek MC and that kind of jazz. So just do what is best for you, but do it right, I guess.
Hey, listener, right now, you've been listening for a while, and I just want to thank you, and I know Orbitz wants to thank you for listening to all of this, because
100%.
Orbitz puts in a lot of hard work getting all these people and everything, and it's cool that you're listening and gaining information about the creator space and just about how things work behind the scenes and everything. So, thank you for taking the time to listen to all of this. And I don't know, if you're listening right now, reply with Orbitz has... If you're on YouTube, Orbitz has cool haircut. Even though you don't know how Orbitz looks like, I don't think.
It's definitely. I mean, no, yeah, I faced it before. Yeah.
Okay, well, reply with Orbitz has a cool haircut, and also, what was your favorite part about the podcast? So, thank you for listening for all of this. Anyway,
a lot of people listen.
Yeah, a lot of people listen.
Like, I look at the average watch time, and a lot of people are going to get to this part, but not many people comment. I'll be interested to see if anyone says anything.
I mean, it's just genuinely nice to have all these people here listening and stuff. So gotta show them that appreciation. Thank you guys. Yeah, comment about Orbitz's imaginary haircut. Part of the podcast.
I mean, thank you for coming on and talking for this long. It's I'm so grateful that you accepted to come on. I'm so grateful to everyone who does, and I'm sorry that I've referenced the podcast and other podcast guests so much. It's the only thing I have to relate to what you're saying. So
you don't have to feel sorry about it. It's just that's how you're relating. It's a vibe.
I am grateful for you to taking the time out of your day, especially since it's the afternoon for you right now as well. So it means a lot.
Chilling. Sectioned out the time for this.
Looking at us getting all emotional, man. Oh my god.
So what else? Do you have any other Twitter questions?
There was one more Twitter question. And I kind of partially asked this earlier, so it might be the same answer. And if it's the same answer, that's completely fine. It's from Millie A. Allen. I'm just going to say that out because then actual name is very long. Which character's lore that you made is your favorite? And I feel like if it's the same answer that you gave me earlier in regards to Outsiders, then that's fine. But then that was only about Outsiders, so there might be a better one from Rats or Pirates.
I think all of them. It's kind of like...
You can't say that. That's an answer as well, yeah.
It's kind of like picking between your favorite child or something as a parent.
Picking between your favorite child, yeah?
Yeah, picking between picking a favorite child between your children.
Yeah, there we go.
You can't do that. I think each one has their own unique perspective. Like right now I'm obsessed with my Pirates character, but that's because I've worked on it right now. I was obsessed with my Rats character. I worked on it. I was obsessed with my Outsiders character and looking down the line, looking behind and down the line of what I have coming up. I love everything that I work on, they're all so cool and intricate in their own way, and I'm just glad that people enjoy them.
Yeah. I do have one Twitter question from myself. See, I like to do this. I like to label as a Twitter question when I forget to ask it during the podcast. It's great. Have you ever thought about writing a book?
Yes, but also that's just not the type of writing I like to do. I like very free form, all over the place, kind of like my head, which is why this improv type thing is perfect because it allows me to do whatever. I'm not really much of a long form writer. I think if I were to ever do anything slightly related to book writing, it'd be more towards writing for a show or something. I think that's my end goal.
Ooh.
Like a comic or a show, something like that. I really want to get into the animation medium, and writing for an animated series would be cool. I'd like that a lot.
Okay.
Yeah. That's my goal.
It's content's full time for you. You went full time in content recently, didn't you? I think I saw you announce it somewhere.
I've been full time twice. So I went full time in summer 2021. I was full time till April 2023, and that's when I got a job because I just wasn't able to make enough from it, and I ended up getting laid off from my job at the end of November 2023. So I'm full-time content. Yeah, it's fine. I'm full-time content again.
Oh, jeez, okay. Yeah, I'm full. I work a full-time job, and I'm full-time content. So always fun. Tiring, but I've taken. I mean, I'm working Wednesday, but I've taken this week off. I have next week off as well, so it's I kind of fell behind and was getting quite tired with editing and stuff. So a little break as well. With that being said, then I think that brings the end of the InsideMC podcast. guest here, Apo.
Cool.
It's been absolutely amazing talking to you. Thank you again so much for coming on. You're so interesting. You really, really are.
Aw, shucks. Go boost again.
No, it's true though. Like, you are genuinely like a really and that's why I thought I'd be so like sick to have you on. And then they got you like you asked specifically to kind of hold off on recording the podcast as well, which once again I'm grateful for, because you were purposely waiting for the end of Pirates, and that's great because it makes for just even more topics. So you're a good content creator. You know what you're doing, and it's sick to see. I'm looking forward to seeing the growth of. I mean, like you said, I've become a fan as well. As much as I'm another content creator, I can still be a fan of you, which I've become. So it's gonna be great to see you grow. You know. Before I do the outro, then I always like to give this part for you to promote yourself. Where can we find you? Your Twitter, your YouTube, Twitch, the POWCreations are, and you've been mentioning the Patreon a lot, but you haven't mentioned actually how we find the Patreon. So do all of that. Go ahead. The floor's yours.
Well, I feel like if you're listening to this podcast about, kind of already know at least what about me, or at least have heard of me, or at least seen the thumbnail of this video and stuff. So hi, I'm Apokuna. I do whatever the hell we just talked about for the last however long we talked about. The Patreon can be found on Patreon. It's patreon.com/POWCreations, I'm pretty sure.
The POWCreations, all one word.
POWCreation. Yep. Yeah, I don't really have too much to plug. I think we're all just chilling. I'm Appo,
more
you just heard a lot about me. I'm Appo, and you just heard a lot about me. So you can find me through that.
But it's more just your ads is more so like what I'm trying to get at, like where can, if people want to follow you on Twitter, because as much as you think a lot of people who know you all of this, I mean a lot of people from my old community have listened to a lot of podcasts, and they're finding out a lot about a lot of new creators. So
Apokuna _ on Twitter, or Apokuna on Twitch.
There we go. So.
But as for a final remark, though, I do just want to say thank you to all the people watching, because I know we're talking a lot about the behind the scenes stuff and how things work and how things function in a creator setting, I guess. But at the end of the day, all this is done for the sake of creativity, and making sure creativity is we can continue to do this creativity and stuff and all that, and it's done specifically for the viewers to have stories and things to think about years down the line, and really leave a mark on them, and also for my own and everybody else's creative fulfillment and stuff. So thank you for watching all this.
Thank you for giving us a platform, and thank you for caring. With that being said, then Apo, I agree, by the way. There's no point me repeating what they're saying, but I am very thankful as well. I mean, I feel like I show that with just how passionate I am with everything, but I completely agree with what you're saying.
What he said, basically.
Huh? Yeah, exactly. Exactly. With that being said, this has been the InsideMC podcast, talking to the amazing Apo. Thank you all for watching or listening even. Stay safe. Don't eat too much bread. Pieces.